welcome to our animal webinar. We have a few quick housekeeping tips to go over before I introduce our esteemed speaker for the evening. The first and foremost, you do not need to record this webinar because it is being recorded on your behalf, and we are then going to post it to animalwebinar.com. So those of your friends who may have had trouble accessing this live webinar tonight because there's a little bit of technical difficulties, it is being recorded several different ways right now so that we are absolutely certain that it will be available to everyone. Share that with many people, but you do not need to record it yourself. Secondly, we ask that you do not post this to social media. You're welcome to share it in any way you like, especially once it's posted on the website, but please do not share it to social media. It's specifically to be introduced in a certain way so that people understand what they're watching. And third, and probably most important, we would like everyone to pay attention to the fact that we are not in any way suggesting that you preclude veterinary care for your animals. This is, none of us on the call tonight that I know of right now, at least the people that I can see, we are not veterinarians. We have found that this wonderful product that we have, the Redox molecule product, is in fact very, very safe. It is non-toxic. It cannot hurt our animals in any way. We are not making medical claims and saying, oh, you can throw away all the Western medicine and just use our product. Please be sensible about that and seek veterinary care should you feel it's necessary. So now I would love to hand the time over to my friend Mez Anderson, who is calling in from Australia. So Mez, please introduce yourself and take it away.
Okay, will I share screen now or?
Sure, if you'd like.
Yep.
That's absolutely
okay.
Perfect.
Right, please excuse my croaky voice. I have a bit of a cold at the moment. So you just have to bear with me. I'm just trying to put a photo up. Oh, in there? No? Uh-oh. Anyway, look, I'll keep going. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Beth, for asking me on as a guest speaker. I'm honoured and extremely grateful for the opportunity to share my knowledge with everybody. As a late starter into the horse industry, I attended Marcus Oldham Farm Management and Horse Management College in Victoria, Australia in '82, which gave me a sound knowledge of this wonderful industry. I started working in the breeding farms and then after about 5 years started my own agistment farm, progressed to pre-training and then obtained my racehorse licence to train in 1987 as one of the early females accepted into this male-dominated world. Pleased to say I've had tremendous success with many winners, including group winners, listed winners and many country cups in Victoria. I've never had the well-bred horses, they're mainly homebreds from clients, so I consider my training efforts of great significance. I was introduced to the molecules in 2015 after major foot surgery, and I was hooked very, very quickly. The liquid came into Australia then, and I was able to get onto that with incredible results from breathing problems, painful joints, not sleeping, gut issues, and many, many others. So finding the beautiful results for myself, I thought, why can't this work on my racehorses? So, why isn't, oh, here we go.
That's it.
Oh, now hang on. There we go. Now, I couldn't eradicate the music, so I'm going to have to try and talk over it. So we'll see how we go. So this is Lindsay. He injured his leg in October the 23rd on a fence when he got away from me, and the wound was quite deep. It actually went right down to the bone when I brought him up and cleaned it out, stuck my fingers in and thought, I think I need a vet. So before the vet could come, I flushed it with the molecules, and then I dressed it and bandaged it with lots of gel applied all around the whole leg area. And I forgot to take photos after we stitched it. But anyway, this is the close-up of the wound. 5 days later, this is the result. Now, from having a hole that deep in a horse, it would normally take 2 to 3 months to start really filling in. And this was the result of using a lot of molecules on it, and it granulated very quickly. The little bit of skin here we did lose, and there's another photo of it. There's a bit of a hole that eventuated. That's all the same day. That was 5 days after the injury. This is now 28. This is another 5 days later. So we had a bit of a hole happening here, but we can see that all this is granulating really beautifully around the outside. So again, flushed with many liquid molecules and applied a lot of gel, and even right up around here, you can see the wire burns, and there was wire burns down here. So that was on the 2nd of November. I cleansed it again, redressed it again, and left it alone. On November the 8th, I think that's the photo, so you can see it's granulating really, really well. A little bit of proud flesh starting here, and I'm a very big sulfate or bluestone. So I applied bluestone all over it just overnight, and the next morning I redressed it again. You can even see the wire burns look a lot better. Now that was on the 14th. No, sorry, that was the morning after I did the bluestone. So you can see how much it actually ate back. So it would have been the 9th. Hang on. Keep going. Oh, what's happened? Oh no, I've missed a photo. Anyway, what happened is I think I used the bluestone on it twice. On the 14th of November, the owners were coming on the 15th to take him back. That is, I think, 3 weeks from the injury occurring. And I bluestoned it one more time overnight, and then I sent him home, and they put him into a lovely green paddock and took molecules with them. And this, hopefully this comes up. Oh, can we see that? Yes, good. Yeah, and that is probably 6 to 8 weeks after the injury. And if you notice, there is very little swelling or scar tissue around the leg. And most times with horses, we end up with quite a fat leg and a lot of scar tissue. So that was a pretty amazing feat. He was back in work at Christmas time, and he won a race in March. And it hasn't affected him at all. It's been an absolutely amazing healing, twice as quick as anything else. So that was dear Lindsay. We then have, I'll put this one back. Forgive her name, Pork Chop. This is one of my first dealings with it. It was only a very minor injury, but if you can see here, there was a little flap of skin. It wasn't a deep wound, so I never called the vet, but I just cleansed it, applied the liquid molecules, then dressed it with non-stick dressings and applied a lot of the gel molecules around the whole leg. And this only took about 2 or 3 weeks to heal up. Sorry, that one's not a very good photo. We can see here that the flaps have actually adhered, which is very unusual. She was kept in work the whole time, and it just you could see it closing up. And that's the last little photo. That was just, I'd applied bluestone and it was practically healed from there on in. So that was our little pork chop. She was a very fat little horse, so that's hence the name. Then we might go to, this is some very interesting photos of a girlfriend of mine who's actually a jockey, and she and her husband train. All right, we don't want to work. There we go. Oh, I've gone to the wrong photo first. Hang on, got them upside down. It's not very clear either. These were taken off an email, so it's a bit hard to see actually. You can see there was a crack in the hoof wall coming down from the coronet, which is just above the hoof wall. And it's very hard to stop the crack going further up into the skin and into the pastern area. Very clever farrier, actually wired it together to stop it splitting, but Shirley poured the molecules down into the crack, and she also rubbed it all around on the hoof wall and also on the bulbs of the heel. And this injury took, that was early December, and 6 weeks later, let's see if these other photos are going to work. One. Oh, upside down. That's very clever, isn't it? That was 6 weeks later. You can see how far it has grown down from the coronet. Now, normally it wouldn't grow that fast, but I'm sure these molecules have increased the healing, increased the growth, as we know it does. And they could take the wire out and it healed up. I think he possibly lost a little bit as it grew down, but they kept a bar shoe on him and that healed up and he went back into work and he's had no problems since. So that was another one. And then they also had a horse that had a tendon injury. And this first photo, you can actually see how it is bowed and very thick, which is what happens when you injure tendons. This was taken 5th of December in 2015. The second photo,
Mez, perhaps you can explain what part of the leg that is so that people understand, you can put it in perspective.
Sorry, what was that, Beth?
Perhaps you could describe what part of the leg that is so people can put it in perspective so they know what they're looking at.
The tendons that we have a lot of trouble with on all horses are in the lower leg. This was the superficial tendon. Again, you can see the little bit of red down here. So this is just above, you've got the fetlock and the hoof down further, so it's a lower part. When horses damage these, they actually tear horizontally through the tendon, and when they actually heal, they heal horizontally, which causes scar tissue, and it lessens the elasticity in the tendon. So Shirley and Pete applied a lot of the gel molecules all over this leg for the whole length of the tendon. I said that was the second photo taken about 6 weeks after the first. And then the third one, which was taken in March, so probably 3 months, you can actually see the definition in the different tendons and ligaments down the leg. All the hair has grown back. We have to shave their legs to actually scan them with the vets. So you can actually just see the definition, and it's a lot straighter down the back of the tendon. He went back into work. He had another couple of months out in the paddock because that's what we need to do with tendons as well, to be sure. He came back in and they had heat further up the leg and he had another tiny tear. So they applied the molecules again for 6 weeks. he's back in work and ready to race now. So, you know, normally a tendon, probably as bad as that, is 12 months in the paddock, and he's recovered in a lot shorter time and standing up to the training of racing. So that's all my injuries. Now I have, where's my cute video? This one here is called Drinking the Molecules. This is my very special little girl. Lola is a chestnut stress head mare, we'll call her. I've had her since she was a yearling, and she's never stood up to a lot of hard racing, and you get 2 or 3 runs and then have to put her out. And I didn't write the dates down, but a couple of years ago she came in and had a run, and she just stopped eating completely. Just, I wasn't interested in eating anything. So we did a blood, discovered she actually had a lot of what we call hind gut issues. So, you know, $1,000 worth of veterinary products later, she still didn't want to eat. And I had a light bulb moment and thought, hello, I have it in my cupboard. I started giving her the liquid molecules. And I tried to give it to her orally, but she just kept on spitting it out. And so I gave it to her rectally with a long-nosed syringe carefully inserted. And within 3 weeks, she was eating everything that she had to. She's been on the molecules ever since. And this is my dear Lola taking her molecules. You can see she's actually licking her lips. And she comes back for more. No halter, she just stands there and takes it. Look at that. She's pretty special, and this preparation, she's actually been in for 11 months. She's had 10 starts. I do space her runs because she's very fragile, but she's had 2 wins, 2 thirds, 4th, 5th, 6th, very close to winning a race in town, and she's still going. Well, this is another one I just tried it on for another reason, and she just took to it straight away. They're pretty cute horses. It's very hard to video when you're doing it by yourself. What do I do? So that's sort of all my stories. I have another beautiful boy here. This was a very special boy. That's my beautiful son strapping him at Moonee Valley. He won quite a few races, but he had suspensory trouble. He had a lot of lower leg problems. So we used a lot of gel and molecules on him, and he just kept on bouncing back from his minor injuries. So he was a very special boy, who unfortunately is no longer with us due to, dare I say, breaking a leg in racing. That was him winning at Moonee Valley, which is one of our city tracks. So yeah, very special boy, that one. But the owner let me use a lot of molecules on him, and it kept him racing. So I did use it on a tendon as well. Horse had been out in the paddock for about 6 months, brought him back in, and just excuse me, I'll have a drink. Brought him back in and we scanned it, and the vet said, oh, it doesn't look very good. So I asked the owner if I could try the molecules. So for 3 months we used the gel on his leg. When I took him back to the vets to scan, they couldn't work out which leg it was, which is quite amazing because it just got rid of all the scar tissue. And we got him all the way up to racing when something tragic happened to him as well, which unfortunately in this game it does happen. He's still with us, but he won't race now. it was not a problem we could fix, but it fixed his tendon from the vet saying no go to back up to racing. So, yeah, that's about all my main stories. So I'll pass it over back to you, Beth.
Oh, Mez, I am so impressed. And I love the fact that you documented so many of these. This was just beautifully done. And I think that it bears repeating that many of these, the hoof issue that you talked about, the tendon issue, many of those are career-ending injuries, or
Yes.
certainly can be. And to not only to have them heal so well that the horse can go back into racing, but also the fact that they did it in so short a time is really remarkable. And the people, yeah, those of us that are used to dealing with injuries or have dealt with injuries like that before are just blown away by that. I also think that I would love to add, because I know your friend wrote you an email that you shared with me, and she had a brilliant idea, which I think that we can all use in terms of ourselves and people and all animals. They use the gel, the molecular gel, on the heels of the foot when the foot was hot, and it took the heat out, which
Yes,
I think
yes.
is really, that's very, very impressive, because, and especially for a horse, because as we know, when a horse has a foot that's hot, if there's an infection in the hoof, that hoof, because of the hoof wall, that hoof cannot swell, and it can't, engorge and heal itself by swelling. So it's very, very, it's a crisis for a horse when they have a foot that's hot like that. So to be able to use that gel and just rub it above the hoof wall and and help pull the heat out, that's really remarkable. Really remarkable.
Yes, I've done it too. And after we have very hard tracks over here during summer, and sometimes I'll come back from a race and they've just what we call jarred up. So we apply it to their fetlocks and the bulbs of their heels, and the heat goes away within a couple of days, and they're back ready to go again. Whereas it can be, you've then got to use injections and all sorts of things. And then they can't race for 2 weeks, whereas this we can use it and they can race tomorrow. That is the biggest thing with this product, is that it is non-harmful to the animals, and it is non-swabbable. In racing, eventing, and many areas in the equestrian world, we have to be so careful of what we use on our horses. This is safe to use.
I've heard you use that. That is a foreign term for us here in this country. When you say it's non-swabbable, what I assume your meaning is it doesn't test positive to any drug screening, because
That's
it's
right.
so natural.
Yes.
And I think that just bears repeating as well. That's another beautiful thing about that. All our athletes are using it, and and people that do have competition horses can feel so comfortable in that it's totally and completely native to the body, so that it does not test at all in any kind of drug screening, which is really wonderful.
Yeah.
So thank you for touching on that as well. That's great.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you again so much for sharing with us. This has been lovely, and we appreciate. I know there has been trouble. It looks like we have gotten quite a number of people on, but I know there was a problem with the A-Team webinar connection. And those of you who did have trouble, please feel free to share this this recording, which will be posted on animalwebinar.com. And we'll see you next month. The third Tuesday of the month. I'm sorry, I didn't look at my calendar to see what date that is, but the third Tuesday in June, we will be back with you and talking about cats. So thank you so much, Mez.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And love helping people with their animals.